Schedule. Matt Parrino, how you doing, man?
I'm good, Jerry. How are you?
I'm good. Today's column and the theme, we're a week away. Should Josh Allen be expected to lead the Bills to 10 wins next season? And I'm coming more and more around to that he should. What do you think?
Definitely. And, we talked about it, I think, ad nauseum at this point over the course of the offseason, is that the expectation should be high for Josh Allen. I mean, you go back and look at last season and, where he was successful and where he wasn't. He won 5 out of 11 games. And, you figure that he's going to take another jump this season. That would put you right around that 9 or 10 win mark if he is the guy that you think that he is. And by all accounts, they're putting him in a position to be successful, whether it be bringing in offensive linemen to block for him, bringing in weapons, bringing in the tight end who is hurt right now, and that's kind of throwing a wrench into that position. But they both bolstered the running back spot as well. So they've done everything at this point. And I think I heard Matt Fairburn say it earlier, you can't use the deficiency of those around him as an excuse anymore. And I think that if you're a Bills fan, you should be putting the expectations high. And I think that when you talk about that defense mechanism that kind of turns up, particularly in Bills fans when defending Josh Allen, I think it's more about what they need him to be than what they maybe believe that he is right now. And it's been so long. It's been this period of time where it's been miss after miss after miss. And now if you're Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott, you are selling to this entire fan base that this is the guy, this is the answer. So they're all in. So I don't think it's that they think when you bring up the guys that they didn't take that they don't want to hear about it. I think it's about now. It's about this guy. It's about this regime and all the decisions that they made, and they're banking on it working.
Don't you think deep down there's a little bit of fear that he's not that good?
100%. I think that there's a little fear, based in all of, overconfidence. And, they've been hurt time and time again by, regime after regime that have sold them on something that hasn't panned out. But with Allen, you look at everything that he did last year. You look at the really bad points and you look at the really good points of the season, and you have to believe that they are confident in the guys that they've put around, or maybe they aren't confident, and that's why they continue to kind of temper expectations a little bit. And, even in Sean McDermott's letter to the fan base, it's like talking about continuing to build the foundation and, little like talking points that, if things go south this year, that, there's a reason why. And, I talked to one of the Bills blogs. I did an Instagram Live with them yesterday, Buffalo Fanatics, because I was really interested in talking to a fan about their expectations of the season and what happens if, things do go off the rail with so much excitement for the past 6 months after a really disappointing season last year. What do you do in that case? And it's almost like you can't really arrive on an answer because they're not even really letting that enter the consciousness at this point. It is going to be successful, and they're not really entertaining any other options.
Matt, for you, who is someone, you were on this beat for the first time last year and, kind of got to start fresh with Josh Allen, but I know you were paying attention when they made the playoffs the year before, and I know you probably watched, quite a few games of Tyrod Taylor. I'm curious what the difference is to you because you've got a pretty unique perspective in that regard. I mean, what the difference is watching these two guys, and maybe if Tyrod Taylor should be, at the very least, the bar that's set this year, because I think we would all agree Josh Allen wasn't as good as Tyrod Taylor last year.
100%. And I think I was actually surprised that there weren't more mistakes from Josh Allen, because that's what you knew you were getting in Tyrod Taylor, a guy that was going to limit all of those mistakes. So last year, with the big arm, with the kind of inaccurate throws, especially in that short game, I was expecting, pretty significant interception numbers, especially as a rookie with that offensive line in front of him. And the 12 interceptions, I think it was, that number was helped a bit by his ability to run and navigate the pocket and figure out when to get out of there and the obvious athleticism. But I think that, the big moments are what are the biggest difference. I mean, Tyrod Taylor, for every 2 or 3 games, he would throw, he would have a nice pass downfield, a 20, 25-yard pass. Josh Allen, that threat is there all the time. And I just don't think that those game-breaking plays, like you saw to Robert Foster a few times last year, Jason Kroom on a few plays last year. And, I think that the excitement around Josh Allen also comes from seeing firsthand through 16 games last year the mistakes that were being made around him. And he made his fair share, don't get me wrong. But, Jason Kroom fumbling at the goal line, Zay Jones dropping balls, Charles Clay dropping balls, LaShawn McCoy dropping balls. LaShawn McCoy made it a point to say, we got to go out there and make plays because we have a rookie quarterback and the veterans on this team have to make plays. And too often they didn't do that. So I think that, now with all these new elements around him, all these new players, and also a quarterback's coach that played the position, has coached the position, seems to already have gotten off to a running start with Allen in terms of communication and letting him in on, some of the secrets of the position that he just didn't have at his disposal last year until Derek Anderson got to town. I just think he's positioned much better. Now, what he does with that position remains to be seen.
I don't know if you were listening at the start, Matt, when I charted the 8 guys that I think he should be compared to, drafted in the top 12 in the last 8 years, and have made Pro Bowls, and they're franchise guys now. Their teams in their second season went from an average of 6.5 wins to just below 11. So again, this is not an outlandish idea that they should win 10, 11 games, right? I mean, it shouldn't be seen, should it, as a shock if they win 10 games based on what we've seen.
That's definitely where I'm at. I mean, I am at 10 games as the expectation. I'm at around 4,000 yards, which I think you said the average for those guys was about 3,900 yards.
Yes.
That's where he should be. I mean, we're talking about a guy that goes out there and boasts about the arm strength in interviews, talking about getting in throwing contests with Patrick Mahomes. Well, I like that. If you're a fan of this team, you like that. But now I want you to go out on the field and back it up. Patrick Mahomes threw for 50 touchdowns last year, crazy amount of yards. You have to go out there and show that you can get the job done as a passer. And now I think that I tweeted it a couple days ago that I don't think it's getting enough attention in the fact that, the diligence and the time that he is putting in there to improve his game. You talk about a Jameis Winston, a guy that you just wonder over the course of his career, has he been fully committed? Has he been in the film room? Has he been in there working with, throwing coaches and strength and conditioning coaches, keeping his body in shape? I think Josh Allen, you don't have to worry about any of that. I think he's doing all of that. But now it comes to production. And the third year of this regime, I totally agree with Matt. I think that there is an element with McDermott and Beam where there's this safety net, because I think that Terry and Kim Pagula don't want to make another coaching change. When you own 2 teams and it seems like every other year you're changing the entire regime and the entire structure of your front office and your coaching staff, it gets tiresome. And there's a lot of things to like about what Beam and McDermott have done. But if Allen isn't a hit, how much time do you give Brandon Beane and, in essence, Sean McDermott to figure things out when your quarterback is so important in this league?
Well, that's I think it's happened before where teams have missed on quarterbacks and gotten a chance at a do-over. And the Vikings are the example I always think about in that regard, because they built the rest of the team so well that the fact that they missed on Christian Ponder, didn't matter. They were able to keep their jobs and they were able to still win games somehow. And it all depends on how the rest of the team is built, but obviously we're gonna see on Josh Allen. But I'm curious what your gut tells you in terms of not where expectations should be, but what we'll actually see from him when he takes the field in September.
I think that you're going to see a similar jump in accuracy that you saw in Mitchell Trubisky, and I don't think he's going to put in a 65% completion percentage season, but I do think you're going to see a 6 or 7 point jump just based on what I think the ideology of the coaching staff is going to be and putting him in a position to make plays. We've seen it in OTAs and minicamp, and all of the short routes that are being run by receivers, tight ends, running backs, that I think that they're going to try to get this entire stable of running backs, which didn't really have an impact in the passing game last year. I think they're going to try to get them involved. And I think that I'll maintain that I think Josh Allen is a rhythm-based player, and you have to get him in a position where he's making plays right away. So if you come out in your first 2 drives and out of 6 snaps, you only throw the ball 2 times, I don't think you're putting Josh Allen in a position to be successful. And that goes back to Sean McDermott's mindset when it comes to how to win football games. He said it over and over again. You win games at the line of scrimmage. You got to win that battle. Well, if in that mindset you're banging a running back into the line over and over again and it's not working out, when do you change that philosophy and when do you start to position your quarterback to make plays? And I think they have to do that, and I think they will do that. And so I'm expecting, 3,700 to 4,000 yards as a baseline, and you want to see at least a 2-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio. Jerry brought up that the average of those 8 was 3-to-1. I don't see that because he's a big arm quarterback and he takes chances, but I think you have to at least see that improve this season and, him take care of the ball a little bit, make the plays, not run as much because he can do more with his arm. And I think it's going to happen. It's hard though. It's hard though when you go back and watch some of these games and some of those throws that really cause pause when you're thinking about this year's projection. But that's where I'm at.